Good morning, Bhargav. It's Thursday, the 18th of May. Here's a heads-up brief for today. For the Southeast Asia production, we covered 16 issues. For North Asia, we covered 2. And for Australasia and the Pacific Islands, we covered 6. In South Asia, we covered 12 issues, plus the major issues in Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Hello, hey Uday. Can we move on to the major issues?
Yep. So firstly, in Thailand, regarding the elections, the winning party, the Move Forward Party, has announced that it has formed an 8-member coalition. Now, this coalition will hold about 313 seats, but they need 376 seats to be able to nominate the prime minister. That is still not clear-cut about whether they will be able to do so, as the senators are flip-flopping on whether they should support the party or not. Most of them are against the party, but some have said that they will follow the people's mandate.
Thanks, Uday.
In Indonesia, the head of the National Awakening Party said that plans are underway to form a new coalition between the party and Gerindra and Golkar. This comes ahead of next year's February 14th presidential and general elections. The politicking is intensifying in Indonesia, and this coalition could possibly field a third presidential candidate, namely Prabowo Subianto, who is the head of Gerindra.
That's interesting. Thank you.
Also in Indonesia, the Information and Communications Minister, Johnny G. Plate, has been arrested by the Attorney General's office on corruption charges related to a base transceiver station project in which there are irregularities of about $500 million. This is quite a high-profile arrest because he is a prominent cabinet member and a senior minister, and there are perceptions that the charges are politically motivated ahead of next year's elections.
Yes, all right. Uday, do you think this will have an impact on the overall stability of the current government?
Not an immediate impact, but in the next few months, this will definitely influence how the coalitions are formed and how the government will be divided into the coalitions. Then it will impact governance in the coming months.
All right, thank you.
And in Timor-Leste, the final campaign rallies are being held in the country today. We're releasing an advisory on the rallies in Dili. There's several rallies planned for the day, and there's many disruptions anticipated.
All right, please keep a close eye on this and keep our clients updated. Thank you.
Yeah. Moving over to South Asia, the Indian National Congress has appointed Siddharamaiah as the upcoming Chief Minister of Karnataka, and D.S. Shivkumar has been appointed as the Deputy Chief Minister. Bhargav, can you shed some background on them?
Yes, so this settles the political drama in the state to some extent, but this doesn't mean much for the long-term stability within the state and the state government. Karnataka politics in general has a history of unstable governance, especially with political parties forming alliance or political party members of the same party creating a major divide within the party with corruption charges or caste divide at the ground level. And if we talk about Congress specifically, they have a massive problem of leadership and stability within the party. If we look at some of the other states where they have won a majority but couldn't hold on to power for too long, the best example I can give you is Madhya Pradesh, and very recently in Rajasthan as well. Though in Rajasthan, they were able to retain the control over the government despite a major rebellion by Chief Minister's deputy, Sachin Pilot. So we'll have to track this through in the mid to long term. The two leaders, Siddharamaiah as well as D.K. Shivkumar, are big figures within the state politics, and they have come up from the ground. D.K. Shivkumar specifically has a mass appeal, whereas Siddharamaiah is part of the old guard of the party. He was chief minister in the previous term, as well as a deputy chief minister in previous alliances. So we'll track this closely there.
All right, thanks, Bhargav. Also in India, the Supreme Court has criticized the Manipur High Court for its judgment directing the state government to grant this scheduled tribe status to the Meitei community. The Supreme Court's judgment basically said that the Meitei are not a registered or scheduled tribe, so how could they be given the status? And this is adding to allegations that the status was that these developments were politically motivated ahead of the elections.
Yes, so we'll have to watch out for the proceedings in the Supreme Court. If they set aside the High Court decision, this will be a major step towards stability in the state. So we'll track this closely.
Okay. And lastly, in Sri Lanka, the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court revoked the travel ban imposed on former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and 3 others. The travel ban was imposed to them in relation to the mob attacks and violence that took place during the civil unrest last year in Colombo.
All right, thank you.
In Europe and the Middle East, in Iraq, authorities have banned the use of US dollars in commercial and personal transactions in the country. This is to promote the use of the Iraqi dinar and limit the use of the dollar.
All right, thank you.
And lastly, Hungary announced that it will block the next tranche of the European Union military support for Ukraine and any new sanctions against Russia. This is if the EU does not remove the Hungarian bank, OTP, from its list of war sponsors. Hungary just recently blocked more military aid from the EU last week.
That is an interesting development. Hungary has stood aside from rest of the Europe in terms of their stance on the war or Russia for that matter. So we'll have to see if this actually divides the European community or Hungary continues to be an outlier.
Right. Bhargav, that's a brief for today. Anything else from you?
Nothing else from my end of that. Thank you.